Spiritual Living. We are starting our live stream and our celebration, and it's so nice to see these beautiful faces and know that there are people on the other end of the camera, whether it's today or any time in the future. We are Center for Spiritual Living Morristown, and I am Frankie Timmers. And anything you want to know about us, you can probably find on our website, cslmorristown.org. We are on Twitter, on Facebook, on Meetup, on, what else are we at? YouTube. So there are lots of places where we can be found. And I'm so grateful that we have a vision, because when we have a spiritual life, we don't let what the world shows us define us. We let our higher knowing define us. And the higher knowing of Center for Spiritual Living is our vision, which is transforming lives through the science of mind, philosophy, faith, and way of life. And our mission is to provide spiritual inspiration to individuals that lifts each one to transform their lives in ways that create a world that works for everyone. I'm blessed today to have Carlson with us, who is our assisting practitioner today, and who will be available for the Treatment Express, which is like a mini experience of a practitioner's session with, you know what? I didn't start. Yes. I thought I didn't start the live stream, which is a mini session just to have a taste of what it's like to have a practitioner treat for you. And we have some forms over there that explains what it's like to work with a practitioner, the names of the practitioners in our community and their phone numbers, and a little bit more information about what you can expect. So today the topic is the Dance of Love, and we're in May, so we have a new theme, and the new theme is Light Within the Shadows. So that's what we're going to be exploring this entire month. And my talk today is about what is the shadow? What is this thing called the shadow? And what is this thing called shadow work, and how do we experience that in our healing process? Because it's really about healing. We're here to remember who and what we really are and to live that. So we're going to explore that today. And if you are online, let us know you're here. Have any questions, have any comments, just anything. We love hearing from you. So welcome, welcome, welcome to everybody, and let's welcome each other by doing our Namaste practice. Namaste is the Sanskrit word for the divinity in me blesses the divinity in you. So remember to not just give, but also to receive. So put your hands together and bow to someone. Namaste. 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 So let's do an opening treatment. In this very moment, there is only the presence, the power of divine love. It moves through me. It uses me. It expresses through me. And when I say me, my, I simply speak from that place of higher knowing that exists in each and every one of us. Because that's where we experience the oneness of all life, where divine love flows, divine wisdom grows, and healing, the awareness of our essential nature makes itself known. So I'm so grateful to explore this idea of the shadow and to experience more healing around the places where we don't feel we are standing fully present, boldly, proudly in the light. And so we open our minds and our hearts to the experience at hand, trusting that it is nourishing to our spiritual evolution and our journey. And so with awe and gratitude for everybody here, for everybody online, for this beautiful community, for this center, for this space, for this teaching, and so much more. We claim it each for ourselves by saying, and so it is. So I'm going to go right into my talk, because after my talk, Lori, we'll have some music, and then Lori will read some of her beautiful poetry and do a guided meditation. But before I start my talk, I want you to know that you asked for social hour back at our annual meeting, and you make it happen. So there's a sign-up sheet taped to the door for you to sign up if there's a Sunday that you would like to make that happen. We always have helpers, so you're not on your own, and I'm happy to tell you a little bit more of what's involved. We also have, next weekend, a feast, a whole weekend feast. On Sunday morning, it's Mother's Day, right? We have Armand and Angelina, who haven't been to visit us in like 3-4 years, to facilitate the Sunday celebration. Then they're doing a harp and sound healing meditation afterwards. And then on Monday night, it's musical comedy, and that's going to be really fun. Armand and Angelina are precious, so please take as many flyers as you want to give to your family and friends, to hang them up any place you think people are going to see it, people want to be a part of it. And also we have a brand new flyer, which is this one, this nice green one. We are doing a New Thought food and fun gathering with New Jersey CSL centers and Unity centers. So it's going to be a really fun picnic in Vassar Park in Sussex County, and it is $20 per person. The food is going to be catered by Dominique's Italian restaurant, and it's really delicious. We're going to have live music and games and a lot of fun. So grab those flyers and join us for something really fun outside. I think that's it. Yes. So, there was a time in your life where you experienced pure light, where you only knew the most glorious, infinite love flowing through your mind, heart, body, and soul. There was a time in your life where there were no challenges. You were completely free like a bird, and you felt completely authentic without feeling any need to hide or play small. And you felt blessed in every area of your life. And then you incarnated. Then you took on a physical body because you were bored. All this love, blah, blah, blah. And so all I'm doing is taking naps in my hammock and making love and being fed grapes and feeling free to fly wherever I want to. I want to experience more. And I'm ready to learn a few new things, and I'm ready to grow. So you incarnated into the world of opposites. And you forgot that perfection of that light because you began to identify with the opposites. And you and I began to kind of struggle. This, that, when, what, where, how, up, down, spiritual, human, black, white, dark, light, love, hate, anger, fear, all that stuff we began to struggle with because we forgot that in essence we are pure light and we're just simply here to shine our light. And so we began to believe, some of us because of our religion, of our upbringing, that that was a punishment, that that reflected suffering, that that made life hard. And then with those beliefs, they began to outpicture, because that's really the essence of not just New Thought, Science of Mind, but that's the essence of many spiritual teachings going back to ancient times. Ancient wisdom says, as within, so without. And so we don't like to work with that. We resist it, we fight it, we push it away. And so this whole idea that we are here to learn something about life by means of the opposite, the one thing that we forgot is that we have the freedom of choice. We think it's imposed upon us because the conditioning happens so early. I mean, how many of you as children, once you became more conscious, which is usually age 2, 3, began to have some experiences and you made some decisions about those experiences that dimmed your light? Whether there's abuse, or your mother or father told you some stories, or your teachers did, or they punished you, or your environment, or your skin tone, or your cultural upbringing, or your sexual orientation, whatever it may be, we began to make up these stories. And they're not necessarily true. I mean, I have 8 siblings. Well, some of them have gone to the other side, but when I ask them about a certain experience, there are 8 different perceptions and opinions. Have you noticed that? That you may not have the same experience as your siblings. That's because we have our own consciousness and our own perception about the things that happened. And so it is Carl Jung who defined this thing called the shadow and shadow work. He is a psychiatrist in the early 1900s who I think is really a mystic. And when we explore this theme this month, I want to tell you this little quote by Rumi, where in our little journals, we have these lovely journals for the whole year, where it says both light and shadow are the dance of love. He talks about that. He was a mystic. It is the dance of love and then some. Whatever it is that we add to it as individualized expressions of the one with our own opinions, our own ideas, our own beliefs. And so what happened is, anytime you feel you are not light, you are not love, you are not an individualization of spirit, you are not this magnificent, authentic human being, spiritual being having a human experience, we tend to push it away. We don't want to think about it, we don't want to look at it, we don't want to feel it, and sometimes it becomes a very egoic kind of spirituality, filled with shoulds, right? Well, I should do my affirmations, I should believe in myself. A should is definitely an aspect of our shadow nature. So that repression of who and what we really are and what we make up about that is our shadow nature. And it's a gift. It's a blessing. But we think it's a torment. It's a suffering. It's a punishment. It's done unto us instead of what we teach, as within, so without, right? And so what happens, there are certain things that we repress. And when we don't deal with repression, it becomes depression, right? And so the way that we heal is we tune in to that inherent truth of our being, that inherent light. Because if we don't, we project it onto the world outside of us. Hence, some of the relationships that didn't work in your life seem to have a common thread. Hence, the issues that you have in life seem to have a common thread. Whether it's health issues, or financial issues, or relationship issues, or career issues, they are there for us to remember that we are pure light, and that then dissolves the shadow. But at the same time, shadow work is the most powerful healing work we will ever do. How many of you remember the book by Debbie Ford, The Dark Side of the Light Chasers? Buy it today, even if you think you don't need any more books. Read it right away. It's one of the most powerful books that you will read, with tools and practices that are gentle and really powerful. And so the shadow part and that repression part and that projection part usually is when we have certain really strong emotions about other people's behaviors. When we have really strong reactions about certain things that people do. I won't have you shout this out. But I want you to think about, what do you have really big reactions to? What behaviors do you have a strong feeling about, strong emotions about? It's very valuable to explore that and to think about that, because that's how they come to our conscious awareness, because a lot of shadow work is not really conscious. And so we get to become conscious of it by means of how we feel and how we react about other people's behavior and actions. Because that gives us information, because it's very easy to point fingers, right? Whether it's politicians, or environment, or other cultures, or people who live differently from how we live. It's so easy to go like that, right? And so the gentle, powerful invitation of healing is to say, how does that live inside of me? How does that live inside of me? Ernest Holmes in Science of Mind magazine, oh my gosh, May Science of Mind magazine is the best. I've devoured it already. We have 2 copies left if anybody wants to purchase any. But Ernest Holmes, in this very powerful article by Jim Lockhart on the shadow, says this: you and I could not criticize unless the criticism was in us. You and I could not criticize unless the criticism was in us. Repression and projection. You will see nothing in anybody else unless you have it in you to see it. You will see nothing in anybody else unless you have it in you to see it. You are what you say. And what you say is what you must become. You cannot see a thing in me, but what you see in yourself first. So what about the positive stuff? Well, I love, and I never heard of this, I love how Jim Lockhart in the article calls it our golden shadow. That's powerful as well, because how often have you admired somebody and you wish you had those characteristics or possessions? How often have you felt jealous? Or what's the other form of jealousy? Envy about somebody else's way of being or way of life. That is called the golden shadow, because that's something that's also in you. If you go up to somebody and say, you know, you're so beautiful, and you always look so youthful, and you're so colorful, and then the other person says, but so are you. Notice what comes inside your mind. Well, not me, not like that. That's not me. I wish it was. So that's the 2 aspects of the shadow that are both very important, because they allow us to awaken to the more of us. And so the most powerful healing work we will do then is what I call holding, with a W. W-H-O-L-I-G. Because that's really what healing is. At the root of the word heal is the word whole, W-H-O-L-E. So what healing work is going back to that place of remembering that all is light, all is love, all is peace, all is wisdom, and I am all of that. And healing is to look at the beliefs where we don't agree, make them conscious if they aren't, and integrate them back into the very truth of our being. That's why we do classes. That's why we study. That's why we do spiritual practices. And so the whole idea of shadow work is to integrate the light and the shadow, and to see the gifts of both and to find the truth revealed through that for us in our own individual way, in the ways that we need it to move forward in life and to blossom. You are light. You are pure spirit. You're abundant. Right now, you're blessed. You're whole, perfect, and complete. That's your true nature. So it's important for us to notice, well, the pig's eye, not me. Just notice that little voice. And don't use it to beat ourselves up with, but use it to transform it and align it back into the truth of our very being. So this is something we're going to talk about all month, so I won't give you everything. But I can say that the reason that we forget our true nature is because we are conditioned in some way, shape, or form to see a limiting idea, to see ourselves in a limited way. And then if we don't heal that and don't deal with that, we project it out and the world just shines it back to us. So if we're experiencing lack in any particular area, whether it's a relationship or career or abundance or health, just think about that, because the reason that is happening is because we hold a limiting belief. We hold a shadow belief that wants to be brought into the light, seen clearly, affirmed powerfully until it demonstrates. I'm going to share a little bit about that later, because specifically when it comes to prosperity, there are some really powerful tools that we tend to forget, because we come from a place of lack. We believe in lack. And that has to show up in our bodies, in our relationships, in our careers, in our day-to-day living. And so what we learn then is that the shadow and the light, the shadow and the dark, or the light and the darkness, they're really one thing. I mean, you can try and cut a quarter in half and use it at the grocery store, but they won't let you. It's the same idea. The shadow and the light are one thing. And because we're so evolved, because we chose to incarnate, we already know how to see them as one. Two sides of the same thing. And so how do we then do the shadow work? Well, I always say, start very gently, or you're going to create a whole other snowball effect of shadow. We start very gently by having compassion for ourselves, having compassion for our shadow side, having compassion for the stuff we're hiding. So one of the things we can think about is, what am I most ashamed of in my life? What do I not want other people to know about me? That's a powerful place to start having compassion and being very gentle and embracing that part of ourselves, because that part is just wounded. And it wants your love, not somebody else's. It wants your love. And once you love that part of you, not only does it heal, but it won't show up out there anymore. It won't be a complaint, a projection. I do a lot of journaling, at least once a day. And there was a time where I said, if somebody would read my journal, I would die of embarrassment. And then when I moved from Morristown to New Brunswick, I threw all my journals in the trash from up until that date. And a friend of mine said, you should recycle, it's paper.
Oh my God.
And I said, F it, they're going in the trash. What if people find them? I don't care. They can find my journals, they can read them cover to cover. I don't care. That's freedom. Would I pass around my journal today? Probably not. But still kind of like, okay, we're all so deliciously flawed. We all have shame. It's part of our human nature. And we have a lot more in common around shame than we think. So there's no need to hide, and as long as we hide, it gets repressed, and if it gets repressed, it gets depressed, and then we get sick. We get constipated, physically or mentally. We get cancer. We get relationship issues. We have lack. We never have enough. All that stuff is really about an invitation to heal the way we limit ourselves. So Rumi, again, in our beautiful journal for the year, those of you that brought it with you, it's on page 52. He says, little by little, you will turn into the whole sweet, amorous universe.
Say that again.
I will. Say it 2 more times. So powerful. Little by little, you will turn into the whole sweet, amorous universe. Don't we all want that?
Yes.
Right? Little by little, you will turn into the whole sweet, amorous universe. Love will surely burst you wide open into an unfettered, booming new galaxy. Love will surely burst you wide open into an unfettered, booming new galaxy. If that's what we long for, which I believe we all do, we have to do the work. We have to heal the part of us that doesn't believe we are pure love, pure light, pure wisdom, pure grace, pure joy, pure abundance, pure health. And in the meantime, because we're in this human experience, we work with those limitations and the stuff that shows up in an embracing way instead of a pushing, resisting, judgmental, criticism, self-punishing way. That's what it means to live a spiritual life. That's what it means to live a spiritual life. To remember who and what we are at the source of our being. And to work with what's in the way. And to heal that. Reach out to a practitioner, a therapist, a counselor. They're everywhere, including here at the center. It's that freedom of living our essential nature. That's our spiritual life. And we free what's in the way, the obstacles, the appearing obstacles that are in the way, to open and to surrender to our divine nature. To experience all of life as sacred. As long as I go around and say, this is sacred and this isn't, I got work to do. And don't we all? Right? What if we embrace it and not fight it and shame ourselves for it or punish ourselves for it? And then we get to be the healing presence that the world so much needs. I get a little frustrated because I know there are so many people who call themselves spiritual, but when it comes to being a healing instrument in the world to make a difference, they're nowhere to be found, right? Because they're so busy on their smartphones or watching more videos or reading more books or taking more classes, that they don't take the time to say, wait, I get to show up as a healing presence on the New Jersey Turnpike. At the bank, and there's a long line and a brand new person behind the counter. In my family, in my relationships, in my memories of the past that I see in a limiting way, right? We have so many opportunities. And then we shine our light upon where we notice darkness. Wherever we notice darkness, whether it's in our body, our mind, our heart, our world, we get to shine our light. And the more free we are, the more we get to shine that light. And it doesn't mean there's not going to be any shadow. Because as long as we are in this incarnation, we get to work with the world of duality. We will feel the light in a bigger way. We will feel our sense of wholeness in a more powerful way, and it will make a difference in the world. So I want to close with a quote by Eric Butterworth from Spiritual Economics, which is really about turning our shadow into a gift. says this. It's in the Science of Mind magazine on May 3rd, Wednesday, May 3rd. My mom's birthday, she would have been 100. All that really counts is what's happening within you. How are you reacting to the experience? Where's your faith? Thus, if you will, the tragedy can become a blessing. The disadvantage can become an advantage. The failure can become an opportunity, and the disappointment can become God's appointment. Isn't that beautiful? Right, so let's hear some music, and I want you to take this time while we're playing the music, because it's kind of meditative, to allow yourself to reflect, to open up to the divine flow, and just set the intention to heal, because the healing doesn't all have to happen consciously. It can happen unconsciously as we are simply present to the blessings of life, and one of those blessings is music. Right, Lord? All right.
darkness and light. That's why I'm wearing black and white. So this month's theme about shadows inspired me to write a poem. So this is my poem. It is called Consider the Corners. The light within shines even brighter next to the shadows in the corners. Those shadows may hide the messiness somewhat, like dust unseen, but are also what we dance with in the light of a sunbeam. Not all shadows are scary or bad. Think of a shadow puppet made with your hand, or the gradations of light and dark that become more than gray as they grow and morph with perspective, giving useful information if we dare to look, like a sundial of what needs healing, or the remains of buried feelings rising up to follow your every move. Because the shadow is something you don't lose, except by changing the intensity and direction of the light. It may cause a fright in the night, but also maybe a smile in the bright of day, sparking imagination with its soft caress and daring you to look beyond what may seem so clear when near, yet in facing them without fear, you can see something new. The stone quarry that becomes a castle, the tree limb in the wind, a ragged old man. Patterns become possibilities and pathways into who knows what. So before we just sweep them away or hit that switch, let's embrace the fun in seeing the ghost or the witch like an old face or friend, knowing it's there for us to mend those corners within. Life dances in, and with our shadows, we can partner up. Is yours a graceful waltz of memories, or a fiery tango of passionate regrets? Are you jiving to avoid diving into what appears? Line dancing in time to hide among the many? Your shadow joined with others may loom large, but there's a strength in facing it alone. On point, in a delicate ballet, we court the muse of our own discovery, afraid to just let loose and break out into the corners and scars that no longer need determine who we are. Yes, our inner light can brighten the night and create a beacon to guide us home. But our shadows are also tools in the grand dance. As we uncover what by stealth or by chance has been hidden from view, caught sometimes in the corner of your eye, or when the sun shines just right, then why do we hesitate and try so hard not to see what we need to heal to truly be set free? So from deep within, I sense the rumble that turns to a visual roar as I turn toward the increasing gray of what I'm afraid to say out loud. But words can help to dispel the dark and reframe the fear into fascination with the ever-moving molecules of matter that make up this figment or illusion of separation. As me and my shadow are one, me and my shadow can have fun. Me and my shadow can heal and dance into the night, gently shifting with the changing light. As I open my eyes ever wider to see all my shadow has to teach me and be ever set more free. Befriending what I once tried to hide, have so long denied and cried over, and yet was never really ready to let go of. As those shadow spaces felt so familiar and well known, such a part of me, but now completely outgrown. And so, incorporating their dark grace, I let them go into the dance. One step left, one step light. Into those corners, I shine bright and embrace the all of me. Thank you. Thank you. Wow. My pleasure. So now I would like to invite you all to join me in a short meditative exercise. Like Reverend Frankie was talking about shadow work, there's a lot of healing to be done. It's a very long, complicated and involved process. But this is just a little introduction to get you comfortable with meeting the idea of doing shadow work. So I invite you to close your eyes, to take a deep breath in, and just settle into your seat. And in your mind's eye, I invite you to visualize yourself sitting in a room with 2 chairs. You sit in one, and you allow your shadow self, or your inner child, or whatever it needs that needs to be healed within you, to sit in the opposite chair. Just look at whatever it is you've been trying so hard not to see. And now smile. Smile at that shadow self. Physically smile right now. Smile at that shadow self that is just there to teach you, to learn, for you to learn something. That is just something within you that needs to be healed. Now reach out your hand and take the hand of that shadow self, or your inner child, whatever is sitting there for you. And if you feel like standing up, you can stand up, or you can just do this in your mind. But we are going to dance with that shadow self. So I invite you to draw that shadow self into a dance position, whatever that may be for you, and to move your body gently, ever so gently, inviting that shadow self to be a part of the dance with you. Smiling, inviting, yes, come play with me, come dance with me. I see you, I accept you, and I am open to healing you and incorporating you. Just hold that vision of you dancing gently with ease and grace, no fear. And then allow yourself to gently settle back into your seat. And let your shadow self gently settle down as well. Bring that smile back up onto your face. And tell your shadow self, thank you. Thank you for this dance. Thank you for being here and allowing me this process of healing. Tell your shadow self that you'll be back. You will be back to dance again, to see more of its shadows and lessons, to heal more. And on the next breath, just remember that this room, this chair, is always available to you, and is someplace you can return again and again, the better to heal, that are to incorporate the light within you with your shadow self. Because as Reverend Frankie said, they are two sides of the one coin. And in embracing that, we find our way to wholeness. And so in the next breath, say goodbye for now to your shadow self. Smile and wave. Bring your attention back into the room where you are seated now. And you can practice this at home anytime.
Thank you, Lori. That was so lovely. What a poet you are. That was magnificent. So Lori today will close with a healing treatment, but before we do that, if anybody's here for the first time, you get to not only receive a welcome packet, but you get to pick a free book from the bookshelf back there. So go over there and pick a book. We have, for many years now, since the beginning of the pandemic, we have not done any prosperity classes. But I'm curious, how many of you have ever taken a prosperity class like Financial Freedom, Prosperity Plus, 4T, any kind of prosperity program? Yes. So the first time I did a prosperity program, I learned something very powerful, but it was also very painful. I learned about tithing, which I had a big resistance to. One of the resistances that I had is I had no money. I was practically homeless. But I began to practice that, do that as a spiritual practice, because I learned from those classes, and I've taken like a dozen of them, and I still would love to take them. So at some point maybe we'll offer them again. I learned how the principle of tithing works. It's based on a spiritual law. As I give, so shall I receive. And I realized that the fears that I had was around my shadow. It's something I was very ashamed of. My shame was that I believed I never had enough money. And I really believed that one day I was going to be homeless and live under a bridge with a shopping cart with my belongings. That was my biggest fear. So I realized that that was something I had to heal, because as long as I believed that, it was going to show up in my life. And so those prosperity programs taught me to tithe, and ever since I over-tithe instead of under-tithe. And I believe in the principle of tithing. Not only do I believe in it, but since I've been practicing it, I have had no financial challenges. My salary has not increased for like 10 years. And it doesn't really matter, because that's not my source of good. My source of good is not my job, or my pension, or my savings, right? And so there is a freedom around tithing that I got so excited about, that not only do I give the majority of my tithe, 1/10 of my income, to this center, but to about 5 or 6 other organizations. And I don't know if you've noticed, but everybody's asking for money now. Whether it's for homelessness, or for Syria, or for Ukraine, or for gun control, whatever it may be, right? So I'm saying this to you because those of you who have taken these programs, you understand how it works and that it works. So I invite you this week to look at that, the resistance of that, because in order for this community to stay vibrant, we need your support. To the best of your ability. There's no shaming in that. Just do the best of your ability. As you've noticed when we had our annual meeting, our donations are way down. I don't know why. I wish people would tell me. But we need to revive that, and we need to become more vibrant again, because if we don't, we can't come together, right? And again, there's a rumor going around that we're closing shop. We aren't. I don't know who started that rumor, but that's not true. We're still here. We'll let you know. We will give you plenty of notice. But we want you to know that your support really matters. If you get spiritually nourished by this community and by this teaching, give back and support it, so we can not only be here now, but for the generations to come who need this teaching and this community even more. I don't know if you've noticed, but since COVID, people are hungry for community. Loneliness is now an epidemic in our country. And so we want to be a community where people can come together and support one another. 3 people reminded me this week that when they're here and they're not part of this community, 2 are my family members, and one is Reverend Nicolette. She said, you've never seen such a group of happy people as here. So there's something, the secret sauce is here. So let's feed that and nourish it. And we invite you to support our community, either today in the basket, online, or whichever way works for you. And so let's know that we always have enough, we always do enough, and we always are enough. And if you have ideas or complaints, tell me or the leadership council. Because I also learned that there's some conversations going on that aren't happening in our meetings, at our annual meeting, about things that aren't quite working as well as you would like. We need to know that. So come forward, let us know, share with us, share ideas. We are really an open vessel for conversation, communication, and celebration. So now Lori is going to bless us with a closing treatment, and then we'll have a little more music.
So, I invite you once again to close your eyes and to hear these words as if they were your own. So right here, right now, I know the oneness of all of life, the oneness that is spirit unfolding. There is only one life. There is only one spirit. There is only one mind. And it exists in, as, and through each one of us. I know for this community that we are each vessels of this divine love, that we are here to remember that and to express that in all we think, do, and say, so that we can go out into the world and spread that message of joy and love that is who and what we are. And so as we involve ourselves in this dance of remembering and forgetting, and this dance of incorporating the shadow and embracing the light, we are vessels and examples to others of this beautiful teaching, of this beautiful community, of everything that we can be and everything that we are. And so we reach deep within to that place of abundant joy. And we support our community in greater and greater ways, knowing that this is where we are fed. And we give from that place of wholeness and of love and of absolute joy. And I know right here, right now, that everyone has been spiritually fed by this beautiful celebration today. And so I know that as we go forward filled up, we must spill over into everyone we encounter. Spill over with that joy, with that love in action that we are. And I am grateful. I am grateful to be a part of this beautiful celebration. I am grateful to be a part of this beautiful community where we dance together and heal together and become ever and ever greater expressions of love together. And so, from this grateful place, I release this word. I release it into an ever-present and loving law that can only say yes, knowing that as I think it, speak it, and do truly believe, so it must be. And I invite you to join me in saying,
and so it is.
Namaste.
If you let your guard down long enough, you might just like what lets itself on. If you open the door just a crack or two, you get a flash of what you've been missing.